So the Enzo situation, the Enzo chant, we all know what has happened. We've seen the fallout. I've heard many people talk about it. I know Lee Gunner did a decent watch on his React channel. I'll link it down below. I haven't watched it myself, but just looking at the comments, a lot of people were very open and very thankful and, bigging him up for speaking out, saying he learned the hard way as well and he's a better person for it. Now, some may disagree and think maybe he's just capitalizing on the situation at hand and creating some content for himself. If that's what it is, then that's what it is. I'm just going off what I saw on face value. I've seen a lot of streams where they were talking about it. I know Footy Judge Mo had one yesterday morning. Carefree Lewis had a 4, 5, 6 hour stream, whatever it was. I'll play a little bit of that shortly, just for some context as to the background of the South American nations and why they have these sorts of chants, because it is more so a cultural thing more than anything. That's not excusing the situation, just giving you some context to understand why they do something like this. But I'll link them down below. Check them out for yourselves in any case. Now, first of all, I disavow the chant. Obviously, it was stupid, completely unnecessary. Yeah, to read you the translation, apparently it says, listen, spread the word. They play in France, but they are from Angola. They know they are going to run well. They like to sleep with trans people, which I think is a reference to Mbappe, which is why this whole thing started. Their mum is Nigerian, their dad is Cameroonian, but on the passport it says French. Again, disavow the chant, stupid, completely unnecessary, uncalled for, did not need to happen, let alone be recorded and put on a live stream for everybody to see. It was one of the dumbest things someone could have done. Now, again, they probably think it's not a big deal. It's just something that they do because it's part of the cultural thing. And again, we'll get to that in a moment here. Now, I say it's discrimination mixed with xenophobia and racial undertones. Either way, it's a stupid thing, as France had nothing to do with the Copa America. And some say it was in retaliation to what Mbappe said about them when they won the World Cup a few years ago, about European football being better than South American football, or something about Argentina, when whatever happened. And it's one of those things where now Enzo and the rest of the players who have joined in this are all catching the smoke that they deserve for being idiots. And a lot of people are questioning, why is Enzo the only person being put under the microscope here? Well, he's the one who's holding up the phone. He's recording what is happening on his device here. That is why he's got the smoking gun. If he just held it up and just laughed and just recorded as he's doing whatever, different story. We're maybe looking at this in a different light. We may be looking and saying, okay, why is Enzo recording this? He's not participating, but in a way he is complicit in this whole thing. And there's a few other players that were joining in. Some say Alvarez was, some say Martinez was. Anyways, I'm not really asked about that right now. Argentina and South American nations are all hateful to one another, yeah? I'm going to play a clip from Carefree Lewis's stream, which will give you some context to this. And of course, I've got family ties to South American culture, and it pretty much is an absolute mess, much like the Balkans are, right? Much like the Balkans are. But let's keep it a buck here. Yeah, the fact is the French team does have a lot of players from African nations of French descent or from immigration. That is a fact. And if that annoys you, you have a problem with how you process information. That's not a racist term. That is not anything slanderous or xenophobic. That's just the facts of the matter. They are French by nationality. What their ethnicity is irrelevant in this case here. That's not a problem for me either. I have no issues there. I'm an immigrant myself to this great country of Australia. I call myself an Australian, but I'm Macedonian by blood. That's just who I am, right? It is what it is. Some see it as a means to attack France or attack the nations that these players, families have come from, or they've come from, or whatever, which is clearly wrong. That's not what we should be doing, okay? Especially in this day and age. Now, Argentina and South American nations, as I said, are quite hateful to one another, so the culture is foreign to us. But even if you ask some of the people from the Balkan nations, the neighboring countries, and you'll be shocked at the amount of things they say about one another or the things that they do to each other, yeah? But you can't do the same thing to other nations outside of your own content or region. It just doesn't translate all the same. Now, mind you, Argentina is a nation of less than 1% black population, if I read that correctly from what I've seen online, apparently. It has been reported, but it does have a mixture of Spanish, Italian, and German immigrants, so make of that what you will. Make of that what you will. Now, Enzo did do a bit of an apology. We'll check that out real quick here. So he says, I want to apologize sincerely for a video posted on my Instagram channel during the national team celebrations. The song includes highly offensive language and there is absolutely no excuse for these words. I stand against discrimination in all forms and apologize for getting caught up in the euphoria of our Copa America celebrations. That video, that moment, those words do not reflect my beliefs or my character. I am truly sorry. That is his own statement. Doesn't say anything about the rest of the players there, but they all have themselves to answer for. Now, this, of course, comes from a Detro Fofana post about, racism in 2024. And even just now, he's also apparently tweeted on his Instagram saying, the football that I like is multi-ethnic. Racism in all its forms should be condemned in the strongest possible terms. These acts have no place in football or even anywhere else. This fight really needs to be taken seriously by everyone involved in this sport. Again, I take the point. Was it actually racism or was it more xenophobia? Was it ignorance? Was it discrimination? Now, you can argue and say, well, they referenced the African nations in there, so therefore it's a racial term, but there was no mention of skin color or tone. If that's what people want to make out of those lyrics, that is completely up to them. I personally didn't see it that way, not excusing it. It was still wrong. It was still stupid from Enzo and co, but this is where we are at the moment, and we shall see what happens, which leads us to a little bit of context as to the backstory with the whole words and etc, and then we'll talk a little bit about what Chelsea's link is in all this. Let's have a quick listen here to RSM, who's Ecuadorian, and he's going to educate this Uncle Jester's FC here for how South America do things. Let's have a quick listen.
All right,
that's racism, basically.
No, the thing is this, right? And I'm gonna preface by saying this. What Enzo did, what the team did, it was wrong. It was definitely not okay.
Agreed.
And I'm about to explain why. I think everybody throwing out the term racist kind of comes from a Western perspective. They don't really know much about South America. In South America, there really isn't racism per se. It's more colorism, because of different castes that we had back in the day. But more so, the chant is meant to be xenophobic. So the thing you have to understand about Argentina when compared to the rest of South America is that they have a sense of superiority because they believe that they are closer to Europeans. Because of the Europeans that came and emigrated to Argentina, they feel like they hold a certain level of superiority to other South Americans. And so even in the chants within the own Argentinian league, for example, something you would chant to the other team is like, oh, you're not real Argentinians, you're descended from the British, because Argentinians hate the British because of the war that happened. So they say like, oh, you're just... Yeah, so you basically they like chant to the other team, oh, you're not real Argentinians, you're descended from British people, etc., etc. So a common point of attacking somebody is attacking like where they're from, their place of origin, etc., which is xenophobic. And so the chant is xenophobic, and it does have racial undertones, obviously, because the players are black, and a lot of African players are given a ton of slack for not playing for their country, even though like most people would obviously love to live in their country, but some people leave because they want a better life. They want to give a better life to the kids. I mean, it's just what happens. But that's why what Enzo said was, and the whole team really was just out of pocket. And he knows what he did was wrong, and everybody else on that bus is also fucked, and they know they did was wrong.
That's why he ended it early.
No.
I'll leave it there. I'll start it from a minute or two before this, but you get the idea. Again, I'm not excusing it, but this is how I think about things. I always say I don't have to agree to something. I don't have to like something, but as long as I understand it, I can't exactly, I can't say can't be mad at it, but at least I have some understanding where I sort of come to a position where, okay, I've reasoned with it and be like, okay, it was a dumb thing to do. It was stupid. You shouldn't have said it. It is ridiculous that you did that, but I understand where it comes from and why you did it. Not excusing it, understanding. Education. People say you need to be educated. Well, let's get some education ourselves, yeah? Again, Enzo deserves this smoke himself because he holds the smoking gun. And this is why I say move over to this bit here now. Like, the apology as well in Comic Sans. What is he doing in a Comic Sans font, man? That's a joke in and of itself. But a lot of people saying, like, why are Chelsea being dragged into this? This has nothing to do with Chelsea. Well, technically it does, but also it doesn't, because this happened while away with the Argentinian national team. So it falls into the Argentinian FA's jurisdiction, let's say. But he is a footballer. He is part of FIFA Pro, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously, he has the links to the Premier League and all that sort of stuff because he plays for Chelsea. And I say this as well, like, what will the other teammates say? we've already seen what's happened. Fofana's unfollowed him. Multiple players have as well. Buddy Ashile, apparently, bloody hell, what's their right back? Can't escape my name, but a lot of the French players in the Chelsea squad have unfollowed him, and this now sets a tone for an uncomfortable conversation. What happens now when he goes back to Chelsea? What happens now when he goes back there and he sees his teammates and they're looking at him with the side eye, and he's sitting there thinking like, yeah, sorry, my guys, I messed that one up. What are they going to say there, right? What's going to happen? We'll have to wait and see. But what will the other teammates say? Staff, management, players of other teams, managers of other teams, things like that. Like, will they be scolded for not getting involved, so they just get on with the game and not say anything and be looked at as being complicit in all this? Or will they speak up and just put their own 2 cents in there because they have a need to speak up, otherwise they look like they're guilty in something? Like, just because I don't say something doesn't mean I agree with the notion. I might not say something because I don't want to implicate myself in something that does not concern me. Yeah, what Enzo did was wrong, but I'm a footballer. I have football to play. Don't care, that's his business. At least some players could say if they want to. Apparently, not every player is angry with him. It's only the French players. Some other players, I think I heard that Nicholas Jackson is not angry with him, or at least he's backing him up in some sense. I read that somewhere, and then he got removed. I think it was like ESPN UK reported it or something, and he disappeared, so I can't say for sure. So I may be wrong on that one. I'll be honest with you now, but it involves Chelsea because he plays for Chelsea. Chelsea are his employers. Something surely has got to happen there. Just because it didn't happen on Chelsea's watch, he goes to play for Chelsea. Like, if I have 2 jobs, I have job A and job B, and job A, I do that, I go away and I do my job B. Something happens when I'm working for job B. Everybody finds out. I come back to job A. Am I expected people at job A just to still get along with me if I've committed a crime or done something illegal? No, they're probably going to speak out about it. They're going to feel some way about it. They're going to say, okay, what the hell is going on here? How could you do something like this? This is not good. You don't just forget about it because it happened somewhere else. You still did this thing. It still needs to be spoken about. Suarez got an 8-match ban for his incident with Patrice Evra. Terry got a ban as well for his situation with was it Enzo Fernandez, if I'm not mistaken there, and there was a bit of extras involved in that. We've seen Bernardo Silva and Garnacho cop fines or things like that for tweets. I mean, I think Silva called Mendy, a smile so we can see you or something like that because of his dark complexion. Every time I say he dark complexion, I'm going to think of Eddie Murphy in Delirious when he says, this is before Wesley Snipes. Back then, not Delirious, sorry, Charlie Murphy, True Hollywood Story, Chappelle Show, when he's doing his whole Eddie Murphy, Charlie Murphy thing with what's his name, with Rick James, where he says, this before Wesley Snipes. Back then, we were the blackest motherfuckers on the planet, as a joke. As for every time I see that, I think still one of the funniest shit that Chappelle Show's ever done. The True Hollywood Stories. Rest in peace, Charlie Murphy. Is Rick James still alive? Anyways, beside the point. As side note there. But yeah. Anyways, back to focus. Back to focus. So that's what happens there. Like, that thing still happened, and the Garnacho with the gorilla emoji for Anana, meaning that he's a beast, he saved the penalty. But of course, everyone's brains automatically goes to, oh, he called him a racist, he called him a monkey. It's like, no, it's and when you say beast, gorilla, like, strong, impressive, impervious. But of course, everyone just goes to the one thing, and it's like, bro, we're really making mountains out of anthills. Now, what will happen to Enzo? Don't know. Chelsea fans want to distance Enzo from the whole Chelsea link, but you can't. Now, they'll need to do something. They'll have to say that they disavow the actions. He has other players he needs to get along with and all that sort of shit there. So what happens now? I mean, shit, even Darwin Nunez fought in the crowd against Colombia in the semi-finals. So something's going to happen to him. That's going to affect his Liverpool career. That's going to affect his club career. So why should this be no different for Enzo? What happens to him? Does he get banished to the reserves? Does he get loaned out to another team somewhere? Will another team take him? Will he stay on? Will he be benched? Will he be doing classes and courses and everything else in between? Don't know what's going to happen. We'll have to wait and see what the situation is there. But like we saw with the Datro Fofana thing, he's just brought it back up again. So, like, he must be really on this crusade. But I've already made my statement there, controversial as it may be. I'm here to have a conversation. I'm not here to say I'm right. I'm not here to say wrong. I'm not saying that you should listen to every word I say, because you shouldn't listen to every word I say. I'm giving you my thoughts and opinions based on my understanding of the situation. Clearly, my skin color is not of the skin color that you would say I should be grossly offended or whatever, but I can still look at something and say, that was bad, not a good thing. Why did you do it? You look like an absolute tit, which is what Enzo and his friends ended up looking like. What happens to Enzo? We don't know. A lot of people are making a whole lot of content over this. I just want to say my piece. I've said my piece. I'm out. Comments down below that will be left open. Please keep them respectful. Don't do anything stupid in there. Otherwise, I will restrict it if I have to, if you can't have a rational conversation. And with that being said, I am out. Peace be with you. Have a good day. I'll catch you for the next one.
End the stream, Dave! End the stream! End it, blood! End